What if I told you your enemies actually bring out the best in you, right? The reason why a lot of you guys are so inconsistent on your fitness journey, so inconsistent with your goals, is because you don't have the right fuel, right? Right now, you are like a car that doesn't have any gas. You don't have any fuel in the tank. You don't have anything to push you forward. That's why a lot of you guys stop, start. That's why you see a lot of guys start in January and then they quit as soon as it's February. And that's why you see a lot of guys jump on winter arc. And then by the time it's October, November, December, they already quit because they say it's too cold outside, right? That's why you see a lot of people who are so inconsistent with their fitness journeys. They're so inconsistent with making transformation in their lives, right? And the reason for this is because they don't have the right fuel to keep going, right? And your enemies are the ones that are going to bring the best out of you. Your enemies are going to be the ones that are going to drive you to be the best version of yourself, right? And I got this idea, this inspiration from the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely by Patrick Bet-David. And he talks about using your enemies to propel you forward, using your enemies to drive you to success. Right. And I've seen this in my own life as well within my fitness journey. When I first started to now, I noticed that when I first started my fitness journey, I had enemies driving me. There are many different enemies that drove me to want to get in shape, many different enemies that drove me to want to get jacked, to want to put on muscle, right? And when I say getting jacked, I'm not saying you got to be like a Sam Sulek. I'm not saying you got to be like a Ronnie Coleman or anything like that, right? Just around 12 to 18% body fat with a decent amount of muscle size to you, right? Got to make that clear because a lot of people get that twisted. But I'm going to tell a little story on how I used an enemy to get in the best shape of my life, right? How I used an enemy to push myself in the gym without even realizing it, right? And I'll get into that story. But before I get into that story, I just want to say, make sure you book a one-on-one consultation. If you're looking to get in the best shape of your life, you're looking to put on muscle, you're looking to make that transformation, you want to create a physique that commands attention, never bores the audience, hit the link in the description and we'll see if it makes sense to work together. And I'll be happy working with you soon, right? But back to scheduled programming. Oh, and don't forget to like and subscribe while you're at it, right? But let me get into the story though. So when I first started my fitness journey back in 2019, right, it's actually funny because this shirt I'm wearing right now actually tells a story. So about 7-ish, no, it was probably more than 7 years ago, about 10 years ago. This was back in like 2017, 2018. I was about grade 12 high school, right? And my coach gave us these t-shirts that are kind of like, they're like themed of this, that are school themed, right? That are kind of like these practice jerseys and whatnot. And I took mine, and this actually used to be a long sleeve. The shirt I'm wearing right now, I'll pull up photos on the screen and whatnot so it makes more sense. But this actually used to be a long sleeve, and I ripped the long sleeve so then it becomes a short sleeve so that I can kind of like, show off the muscles, right? But back then I didn't really have much muscles to show, right? But I just ripped it because I thought it was cool. I was in the locker room and I ripped it and I was wearing it around, high school, typical high school kid things, right? And so then there was a guy in the locker room who told me, he was like, yo, you can't be wearing shirts like that if you don't have muscle, right? Like, it doesn't work, right? Like, you need muscle to wear a shirt like that, right? And in that moment, it was kind of offensive because he was kind of like saying I was scrawny. And at the time I was pretty scrawny. Like, I can't even blame him for saying that, right? But it kind of ignited a fire within me. It made me kind of was like, damn, bro, that kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, right? So it kind of made me feel a little bit insecure. It made me feel kind of like scrawny, insignificant. He kind of like made me feel stupid in that moment because I was like, because deep down I was like, damn, he is kind of right. Like, why am I wearing a shirt like this if I don't even have the muscle to back it up, right? And in that moment, it sparked a fire within me. It literally ignited a flame. It gave me the fuel I needed. And there was many other enemies that I had, but he was an enemy in particular to where I remembered that moment. I remembered what he said to me. And that drove me to want to hop on my fitness journey. It drove me to want to stay consistent in the gym because I remembered what he said. And this t-shirt, I didn't wear it for another 5 years until I would fill it out because I remembered what he said, right? I remembered the insult that he gave me and that ignited a fire in me, right? And then years later, now, I can finally wear this t-shirt. I wish I would have taken a photo of myself wearing this in the moment, but after he roasted me like that, like, I was just too embarrassed. I can't even lie. I was too embarrassed to even take a photo with that, right? But I should have, for like the plot, you know what I mean? It would have made this video a lot more impactful, but in that, but like, yeah, years later, now I'm actually able to wear the t-shirt. And the moral of the story of this is like, I don't even remember who this guy was. I don't remember his name. I don't even really remember a face. But all I remember were the words. It was the words that stuck out to me. It was the words that he said to me, like stabbed me in the chest like a knife. And it just like, you know what I mean? Like it ignited that pain in me. And I used that pain as fuel. He attacked the pain point and I used it as fuel to reach my fitness goals. See, now that is not still driving me right now, right? That enemy that I had at the time, I outgrew it, right? I outgrew that enemy. I'm not using it as fuel anymore. Now I naturally gained a liking for the gym. Like I grew a passion for it. Now I do it because I enjoy it. It's not because I'm proving anyone wrong or anything anymore, because now it's actually become something I enjoy. And the point I'm trying to make here is that you need enemies to drive you to reach your goals. You need an enemy to drive you for your fitness goals, or even outside of fitness, any goal that you have. Like in that book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, it talks about finding enemies to bring the best out of you, right? And and you have to choose your enemies strategically, right? Because if you choose the wrong enemies, it might lead you down a wrong path. You need to choose enemies that will bring out the best in you. And that enemy brought out the best in me because it drove me to reach my fitness journey. And I had many other enemies that I could think of, right? But this is just one in particular that I could bring up. And one of the most important keys to this is that you outgrow enemies, right? An enemy that is driving you 8-10 years ago shouldn't be the same enemy that's driving you today, right? You got to outgrow enemies. It's a part of growth and maturity. And that enemy that I had, that guy, whoever he was, who told me I couldn't wear this t-shirt because I was too small, I could probably mog that guy right now, right? If he probably pulled up on me, I could probably like, he's probably getting mocked, right? The next time he sees me getting mocked, but I don't even remember who he is because I outgrew him as an enemy. He's not driving me anymore. Now I naturally have a passion for the gym. I naturally enjoy doing this now. I don't need him to drive me, right? I have new enemies, new aspirations to strive for. And that is the key. An enemy that you choose shouldn't be driving you for life. It's just using that enemy for a season to get to where you want to be. And hopefully within that journey of you reaching a destination, you gain a natural enjoyment for the thing you're doing. It becomes second nature to where you don't need an enemy, right? And the TLDR of all of this, before I end off, is really just making sure that you use enemies as fuel to get you to the destination. Once you get to the destination, you don't need the enemy anymore. Now you can just do it naturally. You've gained the skill set. You've gained the discipline of it. The key is to finding enemies that are going to drive you forward, finding enemies that'll take you to the destination, so that once you get to the destination, you don't need those enemies anymore to keep on driving you forward. You already built in the natural skill set for it, right? So the enemies just take you to the destination until you can build that skill set of discipline and perseverance and things of that nature. Then make sure you hit that link in the description if you want to work with me one-on-one, you want to work with me personally so that you can reach your fitness goals. Hit the link in the description. If you decide to work with me personally, I will work with you with things that we've discussed in this video, like finding enemies and manifesting your physique. I believe mindset is super crucial to reaching your fitness goals, right? So if you decide to work with me personally, we will be implementing things like I've talked about in the video, finding your enemies, visualizing the physique that you want. And with that, we'll talk about the strategy and how to actually get to those goals. So what workout plans to do, what kind of nutrition you need to be following, how to eat, all of those things of that nature. And if that sounds like something you would be interested in, hit the link in the description. We'll book a call, we'll have a little conversation, and we'll see if it makes sense for you and I to work together, right? But like I was saying, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and remember, there's nothing in lightning. I'm playing small. I'm gonna catch y'all next video. See ya.